All right. Welcome back to the MPU podcast. This is episode 5 now. I'm honored to have my guest here today, Joe Eldredge, a former teammate of mine at Western New England University. Joe is a couple of years younger than I was. And, it's great to have a teammate on the pod. And I appreciate you coming out tonight and taking your time out of your day, Joe. And yeah, man, how you doing over there?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm at the beach right now, but more than happy to be able to jump on.
There you go, man. That's not bad. But you're down in Maryland, correct?
Yeah, I live right outside of Baltimore. I'm actually in New Jersey at the beach right now. But
Oh, nice, dude. Nice little vacation down there.
yeah, getting a nice little vacation
All
in right
right.
before camp.
Nice, dude. Yeah, you guys go to report next week, right?
Yeah, we move in Wednesday.
Damn, man, that's crazy. So this is technically gonna be what, your senior year now or junior year? Like
It'll be my junior year,
junior
but I
year.
took a kind of sophomore. I had a medical red shirt last year. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll go into all that, man, and we'll talk about kind of our story and just, going through the same team, obviously, and
yeah.
how, your career is where it's going and stuff like that. But I would like you to just kind of introduce yourself to the audience, for people that are listening, and tell them a little bit about Joe and where you're from.
So I'm Joe Eldredge. I'm from outside of Baltimore, Maryland. Went to high school down there. Ended up getting recruited by Western New England University, where I got to or Jay. I didn't actually get to play with Jay. Jay was a fifth year my freshman year, but Jay got hurt, so I didn't actually get to play with him. But I got to know Jay. Got up there, started fall 2021. Ended up getting hurt my towards beginning and end of my freshman year. Ended up having to miss my sophomore season with having surgery on my labrum and my throwing shoulder, and then coming back this year for my junior year.
Nice, man. Yeah, it was something that I saw early on, man. Like we got plagued by injuries in our early days, at least. You did. Um, what was that like for you, man? Like, obviously tough couple of first years for you. Um, transitioning into college, I remember freshman year, you were dealing with some stuff, and what exactly did you say you had labrum surgery? I had the same surgery. Was it on your throwing arm?
Yeah, so the it was beginning of freshman year. It was Westfield week. It was a freak accident play in practice. I ended up separating and dislocating my throwing shoulder.
Yeah.
So I missed most of the season. I came back for Husson that week, but which was our last game of the season. So I missed a good amount of time. And then spring ball ended up just re-tearing my labrum. I didn't have surgery on it because this tear was small enough where I could just do PT for it, but I ended up making the tear a lot bigger in spring ball. Decided to try and rehab it for going in to see if I could play with it rehabbed enough for sophomore year. Decided that surgery was probably the best route for me. Ended up having surgery September of last year.
Man, yeah, that's kind of crazy journey, dude. Like, how are you doing now? Like, how did PT go, and how was the recovery, and as far as like your ability to throw the ball the same way you did before, what's it been like for you?
It's definitely been a challenge. Not being able to throw for close to a year was definitely the hardest part of it because that was always like my form of stress relief is I just go to the field and throw. Couldn't really do that, so that was a difficult thing. It was just hard mentally knowing that playing quarterback, love throwing the ball. I couldn't do it. It was just really stressful. PT was not easy. Just going through the motions, trying to get everything the best I could. Wasn't in the best, so I got to cleared to play spring ball this year, but I wasn't fully healthy, so it didn't go as well as I had hoped. So I got put in the position of rehabbing enough this summer to where I could play, or I'd have to medically retire. I ultimately was able to rehab enough where I'm cleared to play, so I'll be going and playing this fall, which I'm excited about.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, man. There's no more, no one more that excited for you than me right now, dude. Like having to medically retire was the one of the toughest things that I like ever went through, dude. Like, you saw me my fifth year, came back and 2 days before that training camp, man, like that was a quits to my career, and it
Yeah.
happened so quick, like, um, and I feel like your process has been a little gradual, and you've dealt with this issue for a while, right? Um, but it that's awesome to hear that you're coming back, dude. Like, I'm excited for you, and you know, it's right back into the motions, right? Like, camp
Yeah.
starts next week, man. Like,
Camp starts right next week. I'm getting thrown right back into the fire.
hell yeah, dude. That's sick, man. Like, that's awesome to hear. I got like goosebumps just hearing that, bro. Cause like just like thinking of how long that you were actually out and just like seeing that process go for you. And I just know I'm hyped for you. I'm excited to see what you can do this year.
I
Now that
appreciate it.
you're healthy, dude, that's sick. But yeah, man, like I said, I went through that process, and I fought some demons that year, and I'm sure you fought your own.
Yeah, and I
You
know you
know,
did too, because I know you were one of the first guys I met, like when we moved in, just talking to. Because I remember you had 2 days before you had just done. I remember you were one of the first guys I met outside the locker room. We were talking about it.
yeah, man, I remember that. It was at that point in my life was there's so much that was happening all at once, right? Like, and calling it like, going to grad school, doing, working a job. I was working full time at the time, and still trying to play ball, and like as much as I knew that I was medically retired, right? Like, that year was I still had that hope that I was going to come back. Like, I still had that hope that I was in some which way, shape, or form going to be able to practice. And I know my body, right? Like, when that happened to me, I knew from the minute that I did it to literally when football is all said and done with, I still to this day don't think that I could suit up in pads and play football. It was one of those injuries that I still have limitations with, and as far as like what I've been able to do on the football field, I wouldn't have been able to play, and that was obviously so tough for me. And going through that, it was kind of like we were injured together during that time, which
Yeah,
is
because I
so
remember
crazy.
remember being on the sidelines talking about stuff during practice.
Yeah, man. And I'm sure you saw it just as much as I saw it in you, that it was killing. Like, obviously, like, I was there at every practice, I was there at every game. And like every day that I was at rehab, I was still had that hope. I was like, maybe, you never know. But man, I knew there was no way I was coming back. And it was because I didn't get surgery, and I had to rehab it because I got put in a percentile when it first happened. My doctor was like, you're going to have an 80% chance of surgery, 20% chance of not having surgery. MRI came back, fell in that 20% chance of not having surgery, which was great. But dude, I like, from a lifting perspective, from everything like that, playing on the field, that kind of, I knew it was a far reach. And
Yeah, because it's like those percentiles. It's like targeted more towards like the regular person than
yeah,
playing football.
literally. Yeah.
You playing middle linebacker is definitely taking a big toll on your body.
100%, dude. Like, and for me at least, like where I came from, like, and just for because you probably don't know much of this, but like I said, I had shoulder surgery, I had the labrum tear myself, so I had the microscopic anchors put in, all that, rehab, that was able to come back and play in college without getting injured again. But I also broke my leg and dislocated my ankle my sophomore year of high school. And it's actually funny because, just that we're on the topic of injuries, I'll go into it a little bit. My sophomore year, first varsity game, it was the end of the game. We were whooping their ass 38-12 or whatever. And I was on onside. They were trying to onside kick the ball. I called for a fair catch and I caught the ball. And so like and there's still clips of it out there. You see me like wait 1 second, 2 seconds, and there's like guys just swarming me, like, and no whistle was blown. So instead of like I should have taken a knee, but instinctively just tried to get around the guys. One guy took me high, one guy took me low, crack, and I flip over, and it was literally like a Kevin Ware injury, like,
Oh,
except it didn't come out of my skin, but I was looking at my foot 90 degrees the wrong direction. So
yeah. No,
for
I can't.
context, I went through my I went through my injuries, dude, and like even before you started at Western New England, I went through some like soft tissue injuries, and those are normal for athletes. I'm sure you know, but
Yeah.
dude, I was at that point in my career. I knew it was over. I knew it was time to hang them up. But all the while, seeing guys like yourself, I was hoping that you would make a comeback. So that's awesome to hear, man. I'm happy for you, dude. And how has the offseason training been this year for you now that you're healthy? And what's it been like, down in Maryland for you and training down there?
It's been intense just doing a lot of rehab stuff. I've been working with my strength coach, Kadri Ismail, doing strength and then rehab stuff with my shoulder, different rehab exercises, doing Brown's gas, which is using molecularized hydrogen therapy, doing stem therapy on it, just doing as much as I can to get myself in the best position possible. Throwing with guys. Luckily, his son plays receiver at Sanford, so I worked with him
Oh
a
wow.
lot, working
Nice.
with some other guys down in the area because I don't have the luxury of working with my college teammates that are 30, 45 minutes away, where I'm 6 hours away from school.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking on that, like 6 hours away from school, you know, you're pretty far. Like, what drew you to Western New England? What, obviously maybe the coaches had something to do with it, campus, whatnot. What was your process like coming out of Maryland and finding Western New England?
So it started. I graduated high school 2021. So I was COVID year where it kind of changed everything with recruiting.
Yeah.
A lot of it was through Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Can still look at my Twitter X, I guess it is now, but look through all my DMs on there and see the amount of coaches I was DMing, just trying to get my film out. Ended up, I think it was probably May of my junior year. Brez actually reached out to me, had a
Shout out
Zoom
Coach
call.
Brez.
Shout out Coach Brez. Big reason why I came to WNE was Coach Brez recruiting me really heavily. But I hopped on a Zoom call with him. I was looking at a couple other schools down in Pennsylvania, Virginia area, along with a couple schools up in New England. Ultimately decided about early January of my senior year of high school that WNE was probably the best fit for me.
Yeah.
The position I was in at that point, going to WNE was probably the best position for me.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. And I had my own process and everything too coming out of high school, Connecticut guy, and Western New England felt like home to me, and I don't know if you felt that coming out of Maryland, but
I know it was definitely a little bit different because I remember my tour was a little scuffed. I was actually visiting Springfield
yeah.
and I was at dinner with my parents and Brez texted me, he goes, I see you up in Springfield. You want to come out to practice tonight? This is like a Friday night. So I go to one of your like Friday night COVID practices. So I sit through both practices. So I get my actual campus tour at like 10 o'clock on a Friday night from by Brez.
Oh my god.
We're standing in the HLC. It's me, Brez, and Solera. Brez actually has to send a picture to his wife of me and my dad because she doesn't believe he's giving a tour at 10 o'clock on a Friday night.
Dude, that guy was so committed to Western New
Oh,
England
yeah.
and
Brez, his commitment was unreal.
dude, I love the guy, man. Like still talk to him to this day. I still keep in
Love
touch
Coach
with.
Brez. Absolutely crazy coach. I remember
Absolutely.
we were sitting in our install meetings for this past camp and our new OC coach Eastburn. We're talking about like picking up blitzes and we were talking about a corner blitz we're talking about the corner crash blitz and
Yep.
I'm like, what if we see it against 2x2? And Eastburn's like, you're never gonna see it against 2x2. I'm like, no,
No.
Brez did it.
Yeah, he
And
did.
Eastburn's
He
like, no,
did.
Brez. I think Brez made his defense on crack. Just the amount of insane blitzes he put in, but it worked.
I I will be the first to say it, dude. That playbook was insane. It was very hard to master, but it was genius. It
Yeah,
worked.
Brez's defense, it worked.
It worked. And it was very intricate, everything about it. I learned a lot coming out of Middletown, Connecticut. We didn't learn a lot of the stuff that we learned at college and all the schemes and all that stuff. Even I was an all-state player in high school, and coming out, like, I felt when I started the playbook, when I started from day one, it was a challenge for me. It was a step up from everything that we learned in high school, and I think that's what made Brett so good, was that he such a good defensive coordinator. He demanded that. He demanded you to know everything. If you don't know everything, you don't play, and it's how it was. And But I respected him so much because he made me a better player.
Yeah,
And I wasn't even in really the rotation much, but being in that position, like working with him every day, I had a greater respect for him, and crazy that he retired. Like no one really saw that coming. So
yeah. I don't think anybody saw it coming, but love Brez, great guy, great coach. I
great coach,
remember
man, great guy.
my roommate freshman year was Rogan, so he played middle linebacker. They were in.
Yeah.
It was during the hurricane when we had all Zoom meetings. We
Yep.
got out of our meeting after about hour 15 for the offense. Defense had their 3.5 hour meeting. That was the one thing was Brez wasn't the greatest with time.
Yeah, he wasn't, but it's all good. Like I look back on those days and I'm like, dude, like I would give anything to be back in that freaking room with him and like just like chopping it up, you know. And you still get to at least experience,
Yeah,
college life and all that. But for an aspect there, man, like I do miss the team, like in the brotherhood that we had there was second to none. Like you felt it, like it's why that you're on this call today, right? Like still kept in touch with each other, and you were a couple of years younger than me, and that that speaks for itself. And um, so I was happy that you were interested to come on the pod, dude. Like from day one, I've seen your support, and I thank you, man, because
yeah, of
I
course.
really am trying to build uh, a foundation here of athletes, of coaches, trainers, recruiters, and I'm not sure if you checked out much of my like MP University stuff
I'll
or
still see it like when I'm scrolling through
yeah,
Twitter. I'll
scrolling
see all
through
your
and
stuff.
stuff. Like, yeah, man, like started that marketing platform that for the athletes that I work with and offer like merchandise lines to college athletes. Excuse me. Wow. Offer college merchandise lines for, NIL deals basically for college athletes to make money. Um, Give them opportunities like come on the podcast through that program, help them with their digital branding. So from day one, like I try to work with athletes from their high school career into their college career because I think a lot of the mentorship that I'm trying to get is geared towards high school athletes because we went through the process, right?
Yeah,
So, but I'm also now targeting guys, even like yourself that, you know, can come on board, mentor these high school athletes that I do work with. I've got 10 people in the program right now. For college athletes, it's $10 a month. And basically the way I do it is you get your own merchandise piece and you can have free reign to sell as much as you want. And all that profit that comes from the shirt goes back to the athlete. I don't take a percentage. I don't take any of that. Because I really was passionate about finding ways to benefit players and benefit, something that I never got in college. So it was,
yeah. 'Cause I
I
remember
wanted to provide that experience.
NIL started us right going into my freshman year is right when
Yeah.
like NIL got passed and everything just changed drastically, especially with like high school athletes. Seeing the deals some guys are getting now is crazy to see. Just thinking like how it changed so much, even from I graduated high school 2 years ago, how much it's changed since then.
Exactly, dude. Like the way media and social media has changed the landscape is really what I was obviously, as a business owner trying to capture through Nanfito Productions, so the media company. I wanted to help athletes be able to have that platform through, next level media and be able to offer something different than just a typical huddle tape, which I think in the past year and this year, working out something might be at the Springfield Western New England game and doing some media there. So that's on the horizon.
Definitely
Uh,
gonna be a good game.
Dude, I'm excited for that one, man. Like every year that happens, it's just like you get those like butterflies. I'm sure you
Get
you
butterflies going, crosstown rivalry. So
dude,
no,
there's nothing better than that.
last year didn't go the way we wanted to, but 2 years ago it was great feeling because I know I didn't suit up for the game, but I was up in the box with Benoit
Yeah.
and just great game.
Yeah, dude.
Great game to be around.
Always has been. And even since like, the 2019 days, shout out that year, Alec Coleman. Uh, guys like Alec Coleman even like hit me up the other day. Like we've been networking and stuff, like former quarterback, and like, it's cool seeing like now that we're out of the industry, like or out of the, off the team and all that, like how we still kind of connect with each other and stuff. So, I feel that brotherhood. So, dude, I'm excited for this team this year. There's guys like Joe Mack hitting me up, and
We
I'm
got
sure
some dudes. We got some dudes this year. Joe Mack's coming back, which Joe Mack's a huge part of our defense.
taking over the
Nicknames the
fours,
vanilla.
baby. Got to represent.
Joe Mack, whole D line, Joe Shea, Luch.
Oh
Defense is
yeah,
going to be
Lucha.
crazy.
Defense is going to be
Defense is going
stacked
to be
this year.
crazy this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
Offense,
yeah.
we got a lot of dudes coming back.
Yeah, it's
We
good
got a
stuff,
lot
man.
of
Like
dudes.
I can see last year you guys almost like you were almost there, and you just had to like clean up some of those things. Some guys, probably some youth on the team, and now
Yeah, it
guys
was
are experienced.
definitely younger. Didn't help that new coaching staff came in a week and a half, 2 weeks before camp. Now we got full coaching staff coming through from last fall and through spring ball. We have it's not all getting thrown at us in camp, so
Yeah.
we all know everything already. So we've all got the knowledge, that already base knowledge that we have. It's going to help us so much more.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited to see what you guys do this year. Coach LeBeau has been awesome, man. Like I've been there since Coach LeBeau is obviously an assistant coach on the team, and you got to see his progression and coming up as a head coach. And I would love to talk to him on the podcast and just pick his brain, dude. Like I think he'll maybe see this in some capacity. And shout out to Coach LeBeau. He had a huge impact in my journey at Western New England, and he was actually someone who always believed in me from day one. And it was awesome to have him be in my corner, and still is, to this day. Like, every time we see him, it's always good vibes. And I'm looking forward to get back up on campus and see the guys this year, dude. Like I feel last year I got a little bit busy during the football season, so it was hard to get back up there and whatnot. But I'm looking forward to it, man. You guys got some new teams on the schedule this year, I see.
Yeah, we're playing St. Lawrence, which we got at home, which is out in West, I guess, basically Canada.
Yeah.
And then Susquehanna, that's going to be a challenge. We got to go down there. It's down in middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they were once
Great fields around there.
they were
But
JUCO, right?
they're a D3, but they were top 25 last year. They're ranked preseason top. I think they're number 22 in preseason. They've got some dudes. A couple guys I played with in high school are on that team, and they're some dogs.
I think a couple of years ago they were JUCO. I want to say because they've always had great teams, and I'm pretty sure way back in the day we used to face them. Our JV team used to face them, and then I think they made the transfer into D3. But don't quote me on that. But I saw them. I saw them on the schedule. I was like, oh shit, like that's a good team. I knew that was a good team.
Susquehanna's got some dudes.
Yeah,
And then we
they
play
always
Anna
do.
Maria. Anna Maria's haven't been the best, but they've been a lot better in past years. I know they've got some good players on that team now. They've got a lot of transfers, so that'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, we got some guys from Middletown, Connecticut on that Anna Maria team. And I think eventually I'm probably gonna talk to a couple of them. One of my best friends actually, I was co-captain with him. He was a receiver there, Justin McMillan. He had a crazy career there, went off. I don't know if he's coming back. The kid's like 25, probably is gonna hang him up. I don't know, but he's another guy just like me, like got injured a lot during his career and always came back every single year. Took a couple red shirts, gray shirts, just like you did, and I don't know how he still has eligibility, but like kind of
I know there's
crazy,
definitely some guys in D3 that you've seen that you don't know how they still got eligibility.
bro. Tucker was one of them, like my old
Tucker had
roommate.
a lot. I know there's a receiver down at Stevenson in Maryland.
Yeah,
He was a forced. I think he graduated high school 2016. He was a 4-star. Went to West Virginia. I think he was out of JUCO, and then I guess he might have taken like a gap year or something. Clock ran out. He ended up at Stevenson, which is in Owings Mills, Maryland. He just finished up his career there, and he's a dude. I've worked out with him before. He's a dude.
yeah, man. I mean, there's like I guess like all the power to you, if you could play until your bones are.
If your body can hold up that long, all the power to you. Keep playing. Play
Dude,
as long as
I
you can.
I agree, man. Like after college ball, man, like I'm still to this day, like aside from my chest and my pec, like I still feel those aches and pains, man. I'm like, damn, like college did take like the career, like so that's how I don't know how some of these guys do it, and I guess it comes down to some of the science, like you were kind of mentioning before. You're going through some of that, like, PT and all those like chambers and all that to get your body to 100%. And I find that, have you seen the new Netflix show Quarterback
I've
yet?
seen part of it. I haven't finished watching it yet,
Yeah,
but I've
Kirk
seen it.
Kirk Cousins said it well, man. Like even like from day one, your body's never the same,
Oh yeah,
So
the
like
amount of those hits you'll take, especially like Kirk Cousins standing in the pocket, he's gotten cracked.
got cracked all year, and he was part of the documentary. Kind of shows how his line
Oh
just
yeah,
let him get beat up all year, and he's like taking rib shots, and like he's like going to the doing all the therapy to try and get better, but he's like, yeah, your body's never like actually 100% better. So it's
yeah.
like, having to suit up in day week in and week out, it's gonna be your reality pretty soon too. So
Because I know
um
I've had a lot of people ask me, "Oh, you're gonna since you redshirted last year, you're gonna use your fifth year now." I'm like, I'll use it if my body can hold up that long.
yeah, man. Unfortunately mine didn't. But I'll tell you what, man, if you got the opportunity and you can continue on, why not? If your body feels good and your mind is not ready to give it up yet, don't, I say play as long as you can. And I don't know, like now let's talk a little bit about your future. Like what are you studying right now, Western New England? And what if you did take your fifth year, would you potentially go to grad school?
So I'm in my major is communication with a concentration in media and journalism. So
Okay.
I have like two career paths I'm looking at going into kind of what you're doing with the media stuff, going into sports journalism, or I might after because so during my redshirt year I started as a student assistant coach.
Yeah.
So that kind of opened my eyes to it, considering going into college coaching something. So grad school, if I go into coaching, grad school, I'll probably have to go be a GA somewhere. But if not, kind of try to get my foot in the door wherever I can in the media industry. I know you talked about it where I started doing some media stuff, just trying to get myself into as many avenues as possible to see where I can get my foot in the door.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. I saw your page, and I'll plug it on this, but talk a little bit about that. What was that like starting your own thing? And you can fire away, man.
So I guess it kind of started this past winter. So I work for sports information at WNE. Is like a
Okay.
job just doing. Usually I'm broadcasting games because I'm also the play-by-play and color commentator for WNE basketball and lacrosse.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
So that's Laveau always calls me the voice of WNE, being able
Nice.
to broadcast those games, which I love doing. I love getting nice being paid for it because I did it in high school too, but I wasn't paid for that. So being paid in college is for it is pretty nice, but I just
Yeah,
love doing it. But
that's awesome.
there's some games they'd have me take pictures, so I started using that, looking for like different media internships, trying to build a portfolio. Started getting those pictures, and then I ended up buying Nate Rose's old camera from him, so I
Yeah,
could start doing some video.
nice.
Got back. I ended up the first video was a mix for my teammates intramural softball game up at school. One of them asked me to do it, so I was like, why not help build the portfolio up a little bit? Got back home. I'm pretty close with one of the DB trainers down in Baltimore. So I've done a lot of work with him this summer, just coming out to his workouts,
Nice.
he's gives me free reign to shoot what I want,
Nice.
which is definitely helped build my portfolio, trying to get some experience.
Yeah, that's I mean for me at least that was something that I focused on that for like that grad year while I was out was building my portfolio. It starts with a camera. So good thing that you bought that camera that Nate had, a good camera.
Yeah, I was glad because I remember Nate saying something because I was pretty close with Nate. I remember Nate saying he was something because he had just got a new camera that he was trying to sell it. I remember texting him like, "Hey, you still got your old camera that you want to sell?" I ended up buying it off of him
Nice.
and just kind of trying to do what I can to build my portfolio up, filming whatever workouts I can, whatever people ask me to film.
Yeah. The biggest thing is when you're starting out, um, you know, sorry, I have a squeaky chair.
You're all
Biggest thing
good.
when you're starting out is doing a lot of work for free.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Like I don't ask guys to pay me. I'm like, I just want to build my portfolio up.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like when you get to that scale though, when you do, my biggest piece of advice is know your worth. Like,
Yeah,
when you do start to get to that point where you can scale, you have multiple people interested in your services, don't be afraid to offer for compensation. Like now you're seeing it from the sports commentating aspect of things, like you can get paid for that, so don't ever sell yourself short, and that'd be my biggest piece of advice, because there's a shit ton of media guys out there, right?
yeah,
And no matter what, your time is money. So that's essentially once I started, right? Like I started it just like you, made an Instagram page and was just stacking portfolio work, and did a lot of things for athletes, did a couple things for brands. And then eventually I was like, okay, not playing ball anymore. How can I now get to the, next level of media? How can I offer this as a service? So from there, I took 6 months of from, when football was kind of over with, and, um, you know, even before football started, I was developing the website. So I developed my own website, and from there, I got my LLC. So once I got my LLC was really when I started charging, because at that point, everything's on the books, everything,
yeah.
W-9s, all that stuff. Like you want to make sure that everything you're doing is done right and done correctly. And as you go forward, like if you're looking to make this into a personal, there's so many different ways you could go about it. You can make it into a personal side gig. You can make it in, build whatever you're doing into your career. That's some of the stuff I'm doing right now. Like, I'm a digital marketing coordinator for an IT company as well. So, everything that I do with my business right now is all on the side. Like that's, personal work that I'm eventually building and hoping gets to a point where I can take it off and go full time on my own again with Name Feeder Productions. But yeah, man, like no matter what you do, it's portfolio building, like, and keep that focus, and mentality that, okay, maybe someday that this will take off for me. But you just got to keep stacking and keep making connections and personal relationships. That's ultimately what I tried to do with Name Feeder Productions initially, and create that sort of following, create that fan base. And then kind of takes off from there organically, right? Like, um, so that's cool to see that you're doing that. And I saw that you were working, was it an internship or so? You were working for a sports company. I can't remember what exactly it was, but I saw some media of you, I think, or not media, but it was like your reviews, or you were doing some NFL work. Am I right on that?
I mean, I've done some people just like ask me questions. So, like going on, I have friends that'll do like kind of what Dan Hayes has done with his own podcast. I haven't been on that
Okay,
one,
okay, okay.
but
I confused you two. I
but
confused
I've
you
had
two. Yeah.
yeah, because we both played quarterback, both with the labrum injury. But Dan's been big on his podcast, and then I've had friends ask me to join there, so I've hopped on those before. But
Gotcha.
I mean, just doing whatever I can to get my foot in the door, doing any aspect.
Yeah. So it was Dan Hayes that I was referring to. Sorry for that.
All good.
But I didn't know if you were in like moving in the podcast direction. So that was another. No, it's cool to see that you come on and with really no podcast experience, and you're able to talk and chop it up. So that's a good start too, as far as like journalism and communications go. Like, maybe someday you will create your own podcast. Do you have any goals around that, or kind of just gonna see where it goes?
Just kind of seeing where it goes. I mean, I've thought about starting my own podcast, just trying to figure out what I want to do with it, chop it up about
Yeah.
sports, anything. I know I've talked with my friends back home about it, possibly doing it. So something I
Nice.
might venture into.
Gotcha. Yeah, man. That's cool stuff. Like, I think just, yeah, biggest piece of advice is just know your craft, and learn to make genuine communication, or learn to make genuine connections. I think that was just the biggest part of my business that's helped me grow. was making genuine connections, not only with athletes, but with coaches, trainers, everybody that's revolved in this or revolved around each other in the sports industry. And that'll help you grow, man. Like, I don't know what your goals are long term, but I always ask my guests what they see themselves doing potentially with their degree, where they would like to head. What do you think for yourself? Where would you like to go with what you're doing now?
Been leaning more towards coaching side because I know got faced with that this year with the medical retirement. If I decided to, LeBeau and Eastburn wanted me to join on as a student assistant for my last 2 years, which would help me get a better GA job. But I'm at the position where I can play, so I want to continue with that. But definitely leaning more towards trying to be a GA somewhere, get a degree, maybe in like sports media, so I can still have that kind of background, what I like, and
Nice.
then go from there. Would like to stay on the offensive side of the ball coaching, but
There you go.
not against the defensive side.
Yeah, you never know, right? Like find an opportunity and see where it goes. But yeah, man, that's all good stuff, man. I thought about myself getting into coaching, but you know, for me it was I just had different career goals and there was definitely a thought, a big influence on that was Connor Dunn, assistant coach up there now, Western New England. He
Now our
uh
receivers coach loves C Don.
C Dunn, baby. Freshman year roommate of mine actually. So it was, I played against Connor in high school, so we kind of grew up together, and he was doing the whole coaching route, and so like I considered that, at some point. But to be quite honest with you, I lost my love for the game as far as just how I wanted to be involved with it. Playing college ball, I just kind of not lost my love for the game, but I didn't want to be involved the way I was before. Right.
Still love the game. It just kind of shifted
Yeah,
how.
yeah, yeah. Like I still watch college ball. I still watch NFL like every week. There's no difference there, but the commitment was for me at least was, I saw how much those coaches grinded, man. And I mean, fair to which its own, we were so good because they put so much time and effort into
There's
us.
some long hours put in, especially with guys like Brez.
Oh,
Long
yeah,
hours put in.
especially with guys like Brez, and those long hours and I, moving forward with my career, just my career goals just didn't align with coaching. So it's for that aspect, I was, put the game behind me once I really did go into my career and all that. But yeah, man, that's cool stuff. I'm excited to see how you develop and just stay at the media thing, man. Like no matter what, people will always judge whatever you do. If you're putting work out that you're happy with, that's ultimately the goal. And if you put something out that you're proud of, it's gonna get that organic engagement and you'll keep growing. And I mean, you know, just take my business for an example, right? Like a year ago, I didn't think I would have a platform like this, a podcast. And, I didn't think, okay, I'm going to make a marketing platform for the athletes I work with. But here I am a year later, like I made that leap. So it was, for me, it's rewarding, So yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, at this point, like I other than what we've talked about, I thought this was pretty good, man. I just want to keep it short and sweet. And I know you're in Jersey, so I don't want to keep you too long tonight. But is there anything that you would, like the crowd to whoever's listening, any high school, any words of advice for athletes coming up, going through the process like you did? Any words of encouragement for them?
Don't give up. I know so many guys that were trying to get recruited just gave up. They weren't getting the looks that they wanted to. Don't burn bridges in recruiting. Just ghosting coaches because you think they're too big. And then I've seen so many coaches jump from D3 to D1 and like, shoot, now I want to go play for them because they're a Division 1 school. Keeping building as many connections as possible is the biggest thing. Because I know like I've having being able to still reach out to some of the coaches, like even when after I had committed to Western New England, I'm watching film on a team and I can still reach out to some of the coaches that I'm not playing for anymore, but recruited me and I still know them pretty well. Where it was we were hiring a new defensive coordinator. One of the coaches that recruited me is a Division 2 school in Pennsylvania. He had actually ended up texting me, asking me how I liked it because he was interviewing for the spot. just not burning bridges, keeping as many connections as you possible, because you don't know what, especially if you want to go into coaching, having as many connections as possible can only help you.
100%, dude. I full heartedly agree with you. Um, as far as just my own process has gone, building genuine connections and creating long lasting relationships is just what's going to help you move forward in a career. Yeah. Coming down to even, like you said, like coach that you talked to through Twitter probably was wondering how he could maybe interview for a spot on the team. Like, like stuff like that really goes a long way. And I'm sure you'll see it as you move into your own process with coaching and moving past football. But lots of focus on this next year, man. I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm excited for you and excited to see how you handle coming back and just stick with it, dude. Like I'm proud of you for everything that you've done. Getting back to actually playing is a huge accomplishment, dude. So
I
all the
appreciate
credit
it.
to you. Yeah. Well, I think that was pretty good, Joe. I appreciate you hopping on tonight. That was episode 5 of the MPU podcast. Joe Eldredge from Maryland. Where in Maryland?
I'm from Bel Air, Maryland. It's right
Bel
outside of
Air.
Baltimore.
Bel Air, Maryland. That's episode 5 MPU podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.